Welcome everyone to the Supremacist Show. I've decided to start this show and talk about all kinds of different things. I've got a lot of interesting ideas. I'd really appreciate everybody joining and watching. It'd be great to get an audience and start discussing different items, lists, things, and topics. I believe in the free idea of having an open marketplace of ideas to discuss all kinds of different topics. Now, in regards to the supremacist, why is this called the Supremacist Show? The Merriam Webster definition of supremacist is a noun. It's one, an advocate or adherent of the supremacy of one group, a person who believes that one group of people has identified by their shared race, ethnicity, sex, gender, or religion is inherently superior to other groups and should have control over those groups. Now, this is a very interesting thing because if someone's like, hey, you're a supremacist, and that's like uses an insult, well, technically, we're all supremacists. Now you think about it, the people that point the finger the most on like, hey, you're a supremacist, they're liberals. Actually, it's liberalism that's taking over the world. The world dominant hegemon is liberalism, and they're supremacists. They literally believe about liberalism supremacy, but they disguise it as like some open free thought. And you see this in the West, especially in like America, Canada. And it's like it's ridiculous, especially here in Canada. I was born and raised in Canada. I'm born and raised in Toronto, and Toronto is nowhere near what it once was. It's a joke now compared to what it once was, and it's really sad to think like what's happened to it. Like when I was born in Toronto, and when I was growing up, Canada was like the most beautiful place on earth. I love this place. And now it also happened in 2016. And I'm not one of those like far right guys or all right wing guys where I'm like, oh, blame the liberals, blame Trudeau, or hate Trudeau, or this or that. But it's like literally like you can see the degradation of your country in your city in real time. And you can't tell me that that's like a coincidence, or you can't tell me that's not by design. Like if something's going that drastically bad, it must be extreme incompetence or something's happening here that you can't like grasp. Like clearly there's like some crazy thing going on that's like what like genuinely 2016, pre 2016 and post 2016 is a different Canada altogether. Now Canada's a complete joke. It's a joke on the world stage. It's a joke in like everyone's the quality of life is a joke. Let's look at it from individual factors such as cost of living is absolutely crazy. Interest rates are crazy on mortgages. Everybody's hustling. Everybody's miserable. The cost of living is crazy. I think average rent is what, like $2,500 for like a decent place. Like a one bedroom, one bath, a decent place would be like $2,500. And you're sitting there thinking like, how did we get here? Plus utilities, plus food, plus gas, plus car insurance, plus car payments, assuming you have those. Like, it's difficult, almost impossible. Not to mention, not to mention, if you want to buy a house, don't even like. I'm sorry, like, how are the younger people going to survive? How are they going to do it? And it's crazy when you think about it like that. And then that's cost of living. Then we can talk about society, the degradation of morality in society. The moral fabric of Canada is lost. It's completely ridiculous. Like everything is crazy. Like in Toronto, you know what's so sad? It's like, when you see like those like social media like clown shows where you see something like crazy, like you'd think it'd be like in San Francisco or something like that. In the Toronto Pride Parade, there was like 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds like naked in the streets, and you're like completely naked, and you're just sitting there like how did we get here? Like what? Like how did this happen? How did Canada get to this level of insanity? And Canadians, you see, for people that don't know, Canadians and Americans are actually very different. Canada is the docile, submissive version of America. And so, like, if you compare some of the states, like some of the northern states to Canada, they're actually very, very similar. And but yeah, it's like for me, what I don't really understand, and this is like a little bit of a tangent here, is like, are people even real? Like, are most people even real? Like, how can you sit there with it? Like, sit me down and help me rationalize that there's literally someone out there that's gonna be naked in public at a pride parade, and they're like old people, they're like 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. Like, you're like old enough where your skin isn't really skin, it's like a bag. That age, and I was sitting there thinking like, how, like, what goes on in your mind? Like, are you real? Do you even consider like, you know, that is also where the supremacist comes in. Because I do believe there are a specific set of ideas that should rule over other people, and that is the objective morality, which I want to discuss. If anyone does get to me and actually watches this and gets to the comments, Tell me about what is the objective morality? Where is the moral compass grounded on if it's not in religion? Answer that question. So, we did cost of living, we did the society, the moral fabric of society. The next we can do is immigration. Immigration is a joke, an absolute joke. Like, it's gotten to a point where there's parts of Canada, major chunks of Canada, where they don't even speak the language. Like, that's like, for me, like, granted, I'm not a white guy, not a white person, right? But there are levels here. There's very serious levels here. Like, you can't tell me that you're gonna go into a store and they don't even speak the language. Like, there are limits. Like, even if you're not like a xenophobe or whatever, there are limits. There has to be a limit. Like, what is that limit? Where do you draw that line? And so what's getting, you know, but it gets worse, right? You keep on going down this slippery slope, and now the next step you go into taxes. So taxes are a joke, depending on if you want to make money in Canada. So the income bracket is ridiculous. You get like 50% taxes, and you're sitting there like, what is going on? And so first you get taxed on your income, then you get taxed on everything you buy, then you get taxed on your property, then you get taxed on like every single. So like you're getting taxed, like you're getting taxed. You're with your taxed dollars, you're getting more tax and more tax. It's just like the layers, like it's like chisels you away. It's crazy. And then don't even get me started about the Russia-Ukraine war, because it's like, what's happening there? We're just sending endless money there when Canadians are suffering like crazy. And then you keep on going deeper in this rabbit hole, and you realize, well, what's left? Freedom of speech is gone in Canada. It's a joke. There's really nothing really left. And so you're like, well, how do I get out? And we'll explore that in another day, another topic. But um, let's kind of move a little bit into America and American politics, because the election's upcoming. My prediction is that Donald Trump is going to win with a landslide victory. If something crazy doesn't happen. If something crazy doesn't happen, which who knows? Who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen? But if something crazy doesn't happen. But yeah, it's crazy. American politics, the way Joe Biden and everything's going. Would you guys think he's going to step down, or he's not going to step down? I don't know. I think they can't run him. There's no way. I think the Democrats are gonna rally on to get him out. I think to get out. But see, the question now, here's where it gets interesting. They take out Joe Biden. Who do they run? Kamala. Kamala will probably do worse than Biden. So you sit there and you're like, who's gonna go after? Could it be Gavin? Gavin Newsom? But then how do you have the most senior Democrat after Joe Biden is Kamala Harris? How do you have her get out and then you put in Gavin? Like, that makes zero sense. So it's like, how does this gonna work? I just so confusing the way the Democrats have played it. Like, you think they would have played a lot better. You think they would have been like from the beginning, been like, hey, we're not gonna put Biden, we're gonna run someone else. But I think they were hoping and praying that Trump was gonna get convicted. But then again, you sit there and like, once again, like, are these people also like, you sit there and you're like, are these people real as well? Because like, you think about political strategy and you're sitting there like, okay, we're clearly running somebody who's not gonna win. Like, Biden can't win unless you rig the election. So it's like, if he's not gonna win, Trump is literally beyond like, beyond like, what is he, like, how many convictions is he in? How many charges does he have? And so it's like, wouldn't you have changed this earlier? Why would you wait till the last moment? Or is it because they want the DNC to choose? Maybe they want the DNC to choose without having any voting. But then who would they choose? They can't. Once again, you can't run Kamala. But let me know what you guys think if someone actually does watch this video, because it's clearly not that great. But I'm getting there. I'll get there. What do you choose? Do you run Kamala? But anyways, yeah, it's just like, it's crazy how that works. Another question about ruthlessness. So I was watching this documentary, and it was about Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, and the successor of Lenin. And what's crazy is Lenin was born in Ulyanovsk, and one of my best friends is from Ulyanovsk, Russia. And he was, when Joseph Stalin was fighting World War II against Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, and they captured Stalingrad, right? Like, Stalingrad was so crazy that there's like a famous quote of Stalingrad that we didn't mark gains of territory in meters. We marked them in corpses. Like, it was a bloodbath, absolute bloodbath. And so during that, there was a siege going on. The Nazis were sieging Stalingrad. It wasn't even a strategically important city, but Hitler wanted it just because it bore Stalin's name, which is like talk about ego in war. Like they literally cost them the whole war, which is crazy. And so, um, they encircle the city. The Nazis are encircling the city, and then they take the city. And as they take the city, like 300,000 troops and Field Marshal von Paulus is inside there, and the Russians come and they siege the city now. And after like a couple weeks of like starvation, the Nazis and Field Marshal von Paulus surrendered over to the Russians, right? And it's like a huge victory, and it's like an encirclement. And simultaneously, during the same time, Joseph Stalin's own son is in he's in the Red Army, and he gets captured by the Nazis. And Hitler's like, "Hey, we'll trade you your own son for Field Marshal von Paulus." And you think about your Stalin, like, who cares? Like, it's a Field Marshal, just trade him for your own flesh and blood. Like, it's not that serious. It's like, who really, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, who cares? And he says no, and they kill his son. And so it's like, really? That's crazy. Like, think about the ruthlessness of somebody. Like, that's my question for anybody that actually does watch this and makes it this far. I hope at least one person does. Would you do it? Would you be as ruthless, or would you let it go? What would you do? I'm genuinely curious to know what people would think. But yeah, what would you do? I think I know my answer. I think if you're at a level that's that up there like that, you know, you're the ruler of a country and you're fighting a war, like, you can't think isolated. And his answer actually was like, you know, if I take my son back, like, think about how many sons of party members, like, think about them, like, how many of their sons have, like, you know, died and stuff like that. But then again, it's like, what's the point of being, like, if you're not the leader and you can, like, call in, like, special things, like, what's the point of being a leader, you know? There's also that angle. But I think, like, if you're, like, when you're, like, a leader of a nation, you're, like, the father of the nation. And you have to think of everybody as your children. You can't just, like, you know, like, like, you can't just, like, put special favor to your own children. But yeah, it's, like, it's crazy like that. But that kind of draws me to another point that I was thinking about how, like, you know, when you have, like, rich people, like, really rich successful people, and you look at their children, and usually their children end up being, like, absolute, like, scrubs, and you're sitting there like, how did that work? And it's, like, so interesting, because you think, like, the person would learn, but they haven't learned. Like, it's all the tests and trials and pains that you've gone through that get you to that level of understanding and legitimacy to, like, learn and grow to get to that level. But if the child is being raised in, like, with the silver spoon, how is he ever going to learn, or she's ever going to learn those same things? So that kind of gets us to a broader topic, another tangent of how should one raise a child? How should you raise a child? Should you absolutely destroy them? Should you be kind to them? What should you do? Like, it's genuinely, like, for me, it's like, if I've got a boy, you gotta absolutely destroy him. You gotta destroy him. Like, he needs to be wrecked on a daily basis so he can learn what this world is about and really learn how to, like, take care of others and protect and provide. But that's another thing, because, like, modern masculinity is absolutely dying, and it's really sad being born and raised in Canada, especially. You see it, like, everywhere. It's awful, absolutely awful. I think for me, one of the, like, crazy moments was, like, I used to go to this tennis club. I play tennis, and I used to go to this tennis club, and one day I went there after quite some time. I hadn't been there in a while, and I went there, and I try to go to the bathroom, and there's, like, it was, like, always, like, male, female, male, female, male. I was, like, subconscious going to the male side, and I get there, and it's like, there is no, they just, like, changed. There's just, like, all, like no gender bathrooms. All just, like, lockers for anyone to go in. Like, you could, like, males, females, everyone could just go in. And I was like, oh my god, like, how have we gotten here? Is it, like, that's crazy for me? That's, like, absolutely crazy for me how that works. Like, how have we gotten to a level of such insanity? And, like, who are these people, and, like, are they real? Like, how can you sit there and think that this is actually doable? Is this even, like, how's that work? Like, how can you sit there and be like, oh yeah, this is how we're gonna do things? There's gonna be, like, no gender segregation. We're gonna have all genders in one bathroom. Like, how have we gotten to this level? And this brings us to the broader topic of, is there a change that's ever gonna come? Like, is Justin Trudeau, like, if he's elected out, you know, if he's not elected to office again, and Pierre comes in, is he gonna be able to make that change? No, I really no. Like it's like, what's upsetting is, like, in America and Canada. I mean, maybe it's upsetting depending on how you look at it, but in America and Canada, the right wing has become, like, progressively more left. Like, what the left wing was 20 years ago is what the right wing is now. So what the Liberal Party was 20 years ago, what the Conservatives is now. They've just slowly just moved more and more left. I think that's right in the camera because it's opposite. But they've slowly moved more and more left. And it's like crazy because like, what are you supposed to do if you're a conservative person, and especially if you're religious? And like that brings me to another broader point. Like, how do you even live life without religion? How do you live life with extreme purpose and divine accountability? Because if you take divine accountability out of the equation, what is there even left to live for? Like, what's even the point of behaving? And this is the answer that I never understand when I speak to atheists, when I speak to people that don't believe in divine accountability or God. I'm like, what's holding you accountable? Why are you not a hedonistic, like, degenerate? Because what else is the point of life if you're not chasing unlimited amounts of pleasure? And it just doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, surely, like, you must either lack testosterone or you must have something else going on, because, like, especially for males. And so, also, what's funny is me and my friend talk about it. They like, you guys know what TRT is, like testosterone replacement therapy. Like, there's so many men that just the testosterone is just so low, and we're sitting there like, maybe we should just become TRT salesmen and we just make millions because we could just sell endless testosterone therapy to everybody. But that's pretty funny. But yeah, guys, this is the first episode of the show. Just want to explain some basic ideas, and I'm sure as we go on, I'll get better and we'll react to things. We'll start covering some stuff as well. But yeah, if anybody's actually gotten this far to tune in, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, welcome to the show. Nice to meet you all. Look forward to connecting with everybody, and let's get this show on the road, get it going, and hopefully one day we'll have a lot of, hopefully one day we'll have like millions of subs, and like, the whole dream can go on. And I know this episode wasn't great, guys, but like, a lot of time myself to just get started, get in the game. If you're getting the game, at least you can win and lose. But like, I feel like at least I'm in the game now, whereas before I wasn't even in the game. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of interesting things, a lot of fun stuff to cover, and I look forward to connecting with everybody and, hopefully making new friends. And thank you all for watching. This is the Supremacist Show, episode 1. Take care, everybody. Have a good night, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.